John Jay. And for those of you who may not necessarily know, John Jay actually provides free counseling services for all of your students. I did write down our information here, so it's kind of basically we provide a safe place for you guys to kind of come and talk about whatever you want, and that can range from having issues dealing with time management here at school or having issues within your personal life. We kind of, again, create that safe place for you guys to come and talk to us. You can stop in the room, send us an email, or call us and make an appointment, and either or would work. Most of you guys here signed in the sign-in sheet, right? Yeah? Okay. So obviously we're going to be talking about depression, and I know depression isn't necessarily the most uplifting topic to talk about, but we're going to try to make it as interactive and entertaining as possible. So we really encourage you guys to kind of interact with us and ask questions, and if anything in particular stands out to you, definitely comment and let us know. So before I kind of get into the kind of meat of my PowerPoint, I wanted to show you guys a video. And basically it's a video depicting what it's like having depression. And when you're watching it, I want you guys to kind of just put yourself in this person's situation and kind of go through the emotions with the individual.
Depression creeps upon you quietly. At the very beginning, you struggle with the little things, but you usually just ignore them. It's like a headache. You'll tell yourself it's temporary and it'll pass. It's just another bad day. But it's not. You're stuck in this state of mind. You get used to putting on a social mask and you continue to live among other people because that's what you have to do. That's what others do. However, the problem does not go away. You struggle to put on a play every day, and it starts to cost you more and more. That is why you fall even deeper, and that's when you slowly start to back away from friends and family, sometimes completely shutting them out. All satisfaction is gone. The little things that used to bring you joy are now worthless. Even the simplest tasks become painful. That is why you lack motivation now. Why would you keep on trying if nothing makes you happy anyway? All of this makes you feel even worse, and you get caught up in a vicious circle. Suddenly you find yourself living in slow motion. Days become indistinguishable, just white noise, just heaviness filling your mind and spilling over your body. You feel as though you will never be happy again. You continue to back away and destroy relationships. You're ashamed for everything you've done, everything you haven't. There is a part of you that wants to make things right. A sudden positive upsurge makes you want to go out and meet people, but it's all very short-lived because you know it won't work anyway. Things that make your friends excited leave you indifferent, and you become aware of the huge gap that lies between you. Another failure is not an option, so in the end you choose to be alone in your comfort zone where no one asks any questions. Low self-esteem and the lack of purpose become unbearable. You finally realize you can't go on that way, and two things can happen. You either decide to get some help, or you might attempt a suicide.
So kind of watching that, is there anything in particular that stands out to you? Yeah?
Probably shut people away. It's something that I've actually
functioning and cause pain for both the individual who has the disorder and for people who are around them. It can be really difficult to deal with people who have depression because you kind of don't know how to interact with that person, and sometimes inevitably people will start to drift away from you. Also, a depressive disorder is not the same as having a passing blue mood. What do you guys think I mean by that? A passing blue mood, yeah.
You're just not feeling it today?
Yeah. It's more
But you're
than
not sad.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else? So you pretty much hit it right on the head. It's kind of just, it's more than just having a bad day, more than just having or feeling blue that day. It's really consecutive, and it can go on for years, days, weeks, months. Also, it's important to note that it is not a sign of personal weakness, and I think this is so important to note because particularly people who don't have knowledge about depression, and I personally experienced this, put yourself in a situation where you're feeling depressed and your feelings are something that are very, very sacred. For you to build up the courage to find someone to express yourselves, and they come at you and make it in a way that, oh, you don't have the abilities, or why can't you deal with the normal life stressors? Is there something wrong with you? That can be so detrimental to that individual who is feeling depressed. So for you guys who are here moving forward, I would tell you guys to be very aware of what you say and how you handle a situation if someone comes up to you and tells you that they're feeling depressed, because once again, that person puts a lot of trust in you, and you kind of become obligated to continue that conversation with that individual. Also, you guys probably know that people who have depression have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes they feel as if life is not worth living. People with a depressive illness cannot merely pull themselves together and get better, and without treatment, symptoms can last for weeks, months, or years, and depression is a common but very serious illness. And most people who experience it most often need treatment. And I know the idea of I need treatment is kind of it doesn't have a good or a very positive outlook on it, but it's not necessarily that something is wrong with you. It's just that you need a more professional support team around you to really help you with what you're feeling. So, a couple of causes of depression. It's important to know that there is no single cause of depression. Rather, it is a combination of genetic, biochemical, environmental, and psychological factors. Brain imaging technologies such as MRI have shown that the brains of people who have depression look differently from those of most people who don't have depression. So in this picture, you can kind of see the person who doesn't have depression, their brain images show a much more stimulus going on.
Someone's sitting there. Sorry.
As opposed to the individual who doesn't have depression.
Oh, I had to move your stuff.
There are three specific parts of the brain that appear to play a role in major depressive disorder. The hippocampus, which deals or is the center of emotions. The amygdala, which is emotional reactions, fear, anxiety. And the prefrontal cortex, which is dealing with personality expression and social behaviors. So a couple symptoms of depression, and these are not necessarily the only symptoms, they're just things that I personally thought are more relevant to college students and what we kind of deal with. So also, not everyone who deals with depression experiences every single symptom. Some people only experience some, and the severity of each symptom for each individual varies and across time. So we have feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, loss of interest or pleasures in hobbies and activities that were once enjoyable. This includes sex. I think a lot of people don't realize that sex is kind of a hobby, and it is. And we like to have sex, and people who have depression can sometimes not be interested in doing that. They won't be interested in playing basketball, going to the gym, reading books, things that they once enjoyed, they no longer enjoy doing those things. There's also feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness, persistent sadness and or anxiety, thoughts of death or suicide attempts, appetite and or weight loss, or overeating and weight gain. And I have a video here that's kind me standing here and telling you these symptoms, it can kind of almost seem like it's easy to kind of point out, but it's not, and it's
Can you
not
try to
obvious.
sit there?
Sometimes the person who is really talkative, really outgoing, is the person who's dealing with
Thank you.
depression and you don't know it.
Hey, just to let you know that Ricky took his life last night.
Was Ricky the guy that always said good morning?
Yeah. Yeah. So, does anyone kind of maybe have dealt with this? Does anyone like feel like sharing about their personal experiences? Yeah?
I feel like not the Ricky guy, but that guy, like I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And it's just days are running into each other and I'm not getting any real happiness. But it's school, so.
What I kind of took out of that video, because when I was watching it, I thought that the person, the guy, I don't know his name, he was one who had the depression, but it's not. But I feel like that kind of relates to us because we're kind of going day by day and just kind of getting up in the morning, going to school, going to class, coming home, studying, going to work. We have our kind of schedule of what our day-to-day activity is, but we kind of sometimes forget that there are other people around us and they're also dealing with things. So anyone else kind of want to share?
I was gonna say, I feel like I get what she's saying about that. Like you feel like you're on autopilot.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I was gonna say that between school and then you go home and then you have regular shit to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like that too sometimes. But like you know what I'm saying? Like eventually, like I'm surprised that he was the one with the question actually.
Yeah, me too when I watched it. Yeah.
So I watched this video on Facebook the first time, and I had a huge feeling that it was the guy who was saying good morning and good night or whatever in the elevator, because I was essentially that person for the longest time. I think culture has a lot to do with it as well, and like, I mean, from different cultures, like mental health does not necessarily exist, right? Like me speaking as an Arab woman, there's no such thing as mental health. Like you're just having a bad day. Stop being overreactive, right? Don't be overdramatic. And so from a very young age, it kind of forced this, of me perfecting this image of like the bubbly personality, the very outgoing personality. Like people have called me extra, you know, like, and all of this has stemmed from being so afraid of people seeing right through that, right? And people seeing right through that good morning or that good night or hey, what's up, buddy? How are you doing? So a lot of the times, depression. Actually, I'm gonna say most of the time, depression is not obvious, and that's why it's so hard for people to deal with it, and that's why it's so hard for even across cultures to see it as something that is so genuine and real, because it's not like breaking your leg, right? If you break your leg, doctor's gonna tell you to heal and sit down and don't do anything too active, right? But when it's depression or something like anxiety, it becomes a lot more complicated because it's not evidence-based, even though it's the same thing as essentially breaking your leg or breaking your arm.
Yeah, exactly. Did anyone else want to say something?
Watching this does make you rethink some
some bits and pieces of your own social life. Well, for me, like I recently turned to someone I knew and said, this friend of mine is perhaps one of the happiest people I know. And because he's always doing what he likes to do, he's always enjoying himself. But at the same time, then I also question things about him, like why would he have a birthday party at the age of 26? Is it because he wanted to just genuinely enjoy a day with his friends? Or does he need to remind himself that he's loved because he's at a point in time where as an adult you hardly see your friends and family? So it's hard to tell if that acknowledgement is really there.
And thank you for sharing it. I commend you actually because I think a lot of people, I don't want to generalize, but I think a lot of people don't ask those questions and don't stop and think about other people, and that's amazing that you do. Thank you for sharing yourself. And I think you bring up an important aspect of culture because not every culture really defines depression or even acknowledges it. I'm also Muslim and we don't really even acknowledge or say the word depression in our household. So that's a really great aspect to bring up.
Depression, like you said, people have to they have to look for somebody that they really trust and confide in that they admit it. And then like you guys are saying, like people tend not to really think about like they're fine or whatever because people tend to like label things like, oh, you're just having a bad day and everything. And then it took my sister 16 years to admit to me that she was depressed, and then not even then, like when she told her mother, my mom kind of like got upset with her and didn't want to like admit that her daughter might be depressed. And it took going to the doctor and actually checking certain thyroid levels to actually say your daughter is actually fully depressed. And then even getting the person she gets, like she's a holy person that you don't really recognize, and it really makes you wonder, like, are these people really who they really can be, or are they just being clouded by the feelings of sadness and depression?
Thank you. And I think that kind of intertwines with what Susie said. It's not, because depression is not evidence. It's not like breaking your leg. Depression is really, you don't have to really know the person. You know what I mean? So, and thanks. So I have different types of depression. I kind of limited it to about like 5 different types because I feel like these are more relevant to students to go on. So the first is bipolar disorder, which used to be called manic depression. It's when an individual has very intense mood episodes that can range from experiencing high energy with upbeat to low depressive periods. And in particular, when you are in the low phase, you actually show some symptoms of major depression. Again, I have a video that's example of what it's like to have manic depression.
It goes down to a lot of that.
The experience of bipolar is a fight in the mind. It's a really big fight in the brain. Because logically you know better, but emotionally you don't care. And so anything can happen. In the beginning, when I first started to notice symptoms, I was in public school and I had just come from, the whole family had just moved from Mexico, the Mennonite